Look, detectives combing through the hood looking for a corpse. Draco hitting, I don't think your body can endure the force. I whipped the fish up with a fucking hanger or a fork. Told that bitch, go ahead, sniff what you want, there's plenty more to snort. I had an outstanding warrant for a short. Turned myself in, rocking Louis and all my jewelry, I wore the court.
Episode 78, Hard to Kill, with Staff Sergeant Michael Bloch, 12 years with the brand, Marsoc Raider. Staff Sergeant, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Honestly, never been better, actually.
Happy to hear. I don't want to say this is an emergency podcast, but I mean, I caught wind of what's going on, bro, and I really felt the need to do this, and I'm happy we got you on here tonight.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to get connected probably the last couple of weeks and just kind of had to juggle things, but yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Outstanding. So if you could, let's get right into it. Why the Marines?
It was the toughest branch to get in, is the few and the proud. It was all the cliche things. I grew up in Kansas, and it was two of my best friends growing up that I joined with, and it was right after 9/11. So we had that kind of patriotic call to arms, and it was just kind of one of those things, the total quintessential boyhood. You go to boot camp with your buddy.
Did you do the buddy program? You did the buddy program with them?
Yeah. It was like I got off the bus though, right onto the yellow footprints, and I look over at him, and I was like, we don't know each other anymore. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Man. Anything stick out about boot camp? Come on, you gotta give us one.
I remember this crazy memory. I was a Hollywood Marine. I was over on the West Coast, and we're up north in Pendleton for the Crucible, or getting ready for the Crucible. And so we're in these old Kwanzaa huts. And it was a couple of the diet recruits were stealing MREs.
Yes.
Right. And they're they're hiding them in the washing machine. And the senior drill instructor finds out, and so he's hazing us. So we got Alice packs above our heads, we're screaming, trying to get someone to confess. And we all know who it was, but he won't say it.
Oh, you held strong.
Yeah, well, no one was gonna rat anybody out, but it's also that opportunity, hey, own up, own it. We're all literally here dying, but we're with you. Just say it, and it went on for probably a good hour, 2 hours, we're just dying, but finally he gave in. I don't know, that one stands out.
The beatings will continue unless the morale improves. I love it.
Always. Okay.
So after boot camp we went to SOI.
Yes.
Now what year is this?
This is 2003.
Okay.
This is so May 2003 is when I graduated SOI, and the stop loss has just been lifted. Okay. So all the Marines that were supposed to EAS from my unit end up coming back to 29 Palms, and I get sent over as a combat replacement.
Okay. So this is early Iraq?
Yes, this is I don't think that Bush had landed on the aircraft carrier with the mission accomplished sign yet. I think this is right before that, and we were kind of getting into this like security and stability operations kind of rhythm. And we had turned over to the Spanish multinational coalition. They were out of Najaf.
Yep.
And so we had just completed our turnover with the El Salvadorian Special Forces. So
okay. So those guys good to go?
Oh man, they were some of the best military. Yeah, they were just really well trained, seasoned. They had, all of them had fought in their civil war. And so they had a lot of like real combat experience to draw on. And just the way that like their NCO Corps is a lot like ours. And so a lot of distilled and decentralized authority goes down to those NCOs. And it was just cool watching how they operated and how they did things. It was a little different than us, and it was a good approach though. The way
I think in situations like that, it's imperative to keep an open mind.
You have to
get out of the stubborn Marines are the toughest motherfuckers around and pay attention. You know what I mean? Another tool in the toolbox type deal.
Yeah, so absolutely.
So, but now being you're an OG, are you one that subscribes to the Marine Corps has been changing? I mean, let's look at it from outside looking in. It seems to me, and keep in mind, I'm an 08 to 14 guy. It looks to me like a lot of the alphas are getting pushed out, and they're kind of changing how they're approaching things to a certain degree.
I would agree with that. So I've been following things very closely since I left the Marine Corps in 2014. I got into contracting, and so I was a intelligence contractor for JSOC. Did that for about 7 years, and then I started my own company. And so now I'm in the defense contracting industry, and the Marine Corps is one of my primary customers. So I'm definitely following where things are headed. With Force Design 2030. Obviously, we have just the politics of the military right now, which is kind of crazy because even I even remember when I was still in, and it had shifted from Bush to Obama. It was like whatever, it's just a different commander in chief, and like even people that were semi-polarized back then, nothing like today. Everyone's just like whatever, you just fall in line, and it's still kind of same things. I know you were there.
I feel like I'm officially old saying that, because a lot of my seniors drilled that into my head. Of course, change and you're fucking soft, you know what I mean? But now I kind of can see where they're coming from a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I don't subscribe to that wholly, that it's just this soft core. I think definitely we're to a certain degree more lethal than ever, but we're changing the way we approach certain things now. Being a MARSOC Raider, man, when did that come about? When did you start going after that? Is that just something you've always wanted to do, or is that something that kind of came at you from being in a little bit, seeing how they operate?
It was definitely something that kind of came as I evolved in the Marine Corps. When I first joined, I was that recruit that like could barely do 3 pull-ups, and I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, so I couldn't run fast. But boot camp does what it does, and things changed, and so I kept building on that momentum though over time, and through all my deployments, and just honestly, it was the level of the caliber of other Marines above me that kind of mentored me, that took hold. And I don't know, I just kind of got into this cycle where it was like, all right, what is the hardest thing I can do? And so I was
attacking it.
yeah, I was at Quantico, and I was it was kind of like my dwell. Yeah, it was my dwell tour. I was a combat instructor. Yeah, I was a combat instructor at the basic school. And so it's kind of like it is what you make of it. And
for sure love the area.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful out here. And I just, I took that opportunity to start going to schools and
That's awesome.
Getting trained and exposed to just a different way of doing things. And so I was right there at the Mace. I went through the martial arts instructor course, and then the martial arts instructor trainer course. And that was the probably pivotal change, where I was like, okay, now I'm ready to go back out to the fleet, and like really get after this. I want to make a career of it. I was thinking those things. And then it was 2 years into my 3-year assignment there, and MARSOC sent a recruiter up, and they did like this huge briefing, and it was just like, all right, that's it, I'm doing this.
Nice. So okay, now there's a bunch of things I can go after on there. Something that we recently talked about was a lot of guys in their early enlistments really fall into the barracks trap. Stay in the barracks, fucking booze your ass off, party every weekend, and then at some point, sometimes that changes, and you start getting out a little bit, and you start sharpening your tools a little bit. You start realizing that, if I start learning some more about the enemy, or learning more about myself, getting my physical fitness up, I can be a fucking savage out here, And I think that's kind of what you're describing. I think you're kind of going through that transition, and I love to hear it, because, I feel like we need to talk about that a little bit more for some of the young guys to hear, because it's easy to fall into that, man. It's easy to, get kind of demotivated. There's a lot of people in the Marine Corps that, kind of are in a funk that you can somehow, I don't know, I don't want to say gravitate towards, but their energy falls onto you, and you're like, oh, this sucks. Fucking Marine Corps is shitty. Like, oh, I want to go home. Like all that bullshit, But exactly like you said, if you kind of focus on bettering yourself to a certain degree, it's all about what you make of it. And you can really enjoy some of the things that the Marine Corps has to offer. And so tell me about becoming a Raider, man. Did you really just fall into it and start to really love what you do?
Absolutely. I was pretty fortunate in that, being stationed at Quantico, I had access to all the monitors, and I just kind of like made it my my passion and my kind of focus to make sure that I got there and got that opportunity, because my unit didn't want to let me go. And the only way that I could make it happen was getting a total PCS down there.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to get PCS to MARSOC with orders before I even went to selection.
Oh, wow.
Through, at the time, they were hurting on bodies trying to recruit, and heavily stand up the units. And so what was then called MSOAG, the Marine Special Operations Advisor Group, they had a Marines awaiting training platoon. And so I was assigned to that, and was able to just get around other like-minded individuals that wanted to like really push the envelope and get ready for selection. And we were, within the command, so we had access to all those resources and people, that helped us get ready, just prepare.
I could imagine that helps significantly, dude. Just around like-minded individuals like that, dude.
Oh yeah, it was, and then we just start pushing each other, and then it became competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then we're out there doing crazy stuff, just running with like 60-pound rocks, seeing how fast we could do 6 miles, just let's kill ourselves.
Breaking each other off. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Pause. Yeah. So, okay. So this is maybe 2010, 2011?
2008.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So Iraq's coming down, Afghans ramping up.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the pumps. Well, I mean, are you guys how does that even work? Do you guys as MARSOC you get attached to a Victor unit and you kind of just do special operations in that AO, or do you kind of do your own thing? How does that work?
So the way that SOCOM works is that SOCOM is the kind of like tactical command and control element, and then the services maintain AdCon of the individuals, and so we fall within the standard Marine Corps regulations, and we push the envelope with haircuts and things
Of
like
course,
that.
dude, you got
But
to, you got to.
yeah,
You earn that,
but
bro.
but for the most part, we're just like any other Marine. But
Still, don't come on, man. You're giving me a moto chub right now. It's got to be awesome to finally get in that element and see it from the inside, dude. Come on, see how that
oh, it
operates.
was,
Come on, dude.
it
That's why we all
was.
joined. Come on.
Oh, I know. It was amazing. It was incredible to be a part of something that was in its infancy. And honestly, MARSOC did it right. Like they stood it up correctly, and they went out to the other services and got experts in those fields to make sure that we did it right the first time.
So elaborate on that a little bit, dude. Is that kind of taken away from the sleeves, the haircuts, the shaves, and focusing on the lethality of, or just being proficient at everything war fighting and making sure you're the best at what you that's honestly to me that's how you create the best warrior imaginable. And I'm happy to
100%.
so is that you so honestly you guys laid the groundwork for that. Let's be
We
real.
did. We did. We had to build the pipelines for training, because we would go through ITC, which was the individual training course, and I went through the second one ever.
Oh shit.
I think it was 9 months when we went through it, and I mean, we learned a lot. It was just a fire hose every single day, and it was high stakes. Like, there are hard gates where if you didn't pass this portion, you were gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it was like extremely physically challenging, and a lot of dudes got hurt. So I mean, I remember just wild things happening, like one guy got bit by like a brown recluse on his arm. Yeah.
Get all rotted and shit. Yeah.
Oh, it was gnarly. And he and I
he
went
didn't want to give it up, I
to,
bet, right?
no, he stuck with it too.
Oh, he pushed through. Oh,
yeah.
savage.
That happened during SEER too.
Ooh.
It was like, yeah, just nasty. But there's stuff like that. There's somebody, actually one of my really good friends, he fell off the O course, like broke a rib, but still made it through.
Still tough. I love it.
It's just crazy.
But from the outside looking in, what was the thing you got the most out of, or the thing that you would say made you as proficient as you believe you are in theater or downrange?
Honestly, it was our training pipeline after we got to the teams.
Gotcha.
So the way that MARSOC set things up was that it's kind of changed a little bit over time, like the duration for each of these, but you would go through an individual training pipeline, you would go through a team training pipeline, and then a company training pipeline. And that would allow you to like work up, so individual tasks, team tasks, company tasks, and work on and build those skills. And then ultimately you go through a exercise that's qualifying exercise for deployment, to make sure that you're even capable to go out. So the way that was set up allowed the individual to go out and go through, you know, their pipeline of building on critical tasks and skills that would round out the team. And so, like, for myself, I was the intelligence specialist on the team, kind of like the 18 Fox equivalent.
Gotcha.
So the schools that I went to were focused around that and enabling me to collect intelligence, be able to analyze it, process it.
Are you a bats and hides guy?
Yeah. So I went through it was what it was called is operator advanced course.
Yep.
You did that?
Yep.
Sick. Yeah. That was probably one of the best schools I went to.
I got a lot out of it for sure.
Oh, did you?
So more so what I'm interested in, what came full circle for you, dude? So what did you because I have a lot of things that I talk about that I didn't expect to see downrange that I did, and I was happy that I got the most out of it when I trained. I mean, I could be harping on something that's not something pivotal for you, but I know for me that was something that was pretty significant. Did you notice anything that kind of like came full circle on you?
Not necessarily when I was at MARSOC. I had done already 3 combat deployments to Iraq in the grunts, and so I had just a wealth of experience to draw on, you know, and just all sorts of different types of situations that I was put in to be able to build that just baseline, like that brilliance in the basics. And then, you know, being taught the kind of more I don't know, more deliberate approach to how we addressed operations. Gotcha. and our, you know, actual tasks. The difference there, I think it was really just a core focus on brilliance in the basics. Just having that that baseline and reinforcing it over and over and over. I mean, that was it. You know, it's just it's like that 10,000 hours thing, right? Like it's how much time, how many reps. It's not like practice makes you perfect. It's perfect practice makes you perfect.
You're right. I like that.
And it's just putting in the reps over and over and over.
You're right. You can't build a muscle without reps. I agree with you completely. So did you get to Afghanistan?
Yeah. So I went there 2012 and 13.
Gotcha, right after me. What did you think? Iraq, Afghanistan, how did they compare and contrast for you?
Way different for me. Yeah. So in Iraq, I was in Anbar. Well, I think the first deployment of Najaf is not in Anbar, but so after that deployment, both of them were to Husayba, which is in Al-Qaim.
Yep.
But yeah, the type of fighting there was just way different. You know, we're in the city. You know, we dealt with, you know, ambulances full of explosives driving into posts, you know, like just a different level. Afghanistan was rugged. It was rough, you know. It was like,
were you more desert or mountain?
More mountain. We're in Kajaki, so right off the dam, and it was gnarly terrain.
Heavy IEDs or more pop shot ambush type deal?
It was the IED threat was the big thing. You know, we rolled around in RG-31s, and we really didn't get contact, you know, from like small arms or RPGs when we went out. It was the IED threat. However, I did get to go on a dagger op where we basically took 160th and flew in, took
Okay,
over
that's
three
savage.
different.
Okay.
Oh, dude, it was gnarly. We took over three separate compounds, mutually supporting, and it basically holed up there for like 3 days.
Ooh,
And just duked it out.
love it.
It was crazy.
Have you
We're
ever? I mean,
launching
obviously, you.
mortars. Just
I was just gonna say that. Have you ever been in a situation where you've seen it all tie in? I'm
oh yeah,
talking. Yeah, it's just
that
to
was
see.
it. I mean, like we were so infill. We're coming in on Chinooks, black
Yep.
Chinooks, that
Oh,
in the dark of the night. And at first we were told like, okay, you're going to be 3-click offset, and you're going to have to walk in. And we get up into the airspace, and they had a half skid, so Cobra and Huey complement, and as they got in, they started taking fire from the ground. Yeah, and our JTAC, like, we're all on comms, so we can hear everything going on. Our JTAC's just destroying them from the sky.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I think by the time we actually got to the X, we already had like 25 EKIA just from the sky, just from the Hueys and Cobras.
Thing was dumping. Okay.
Oh yeah, they were relentless. One of the birds like landed right on the X, so they totally like threw out the 3-click offset, and they're like, no, you're getting 100 meters. Yeah, and one of the birds like taking rounds up the ramp. It was pretty crazy. Oh yeah, it was a heavy night. But then, so we had the whole like air, MAGTAF concept going in, joint fires, all that kind of stuff. And then once we had infilled, we're taking small arms fire all night. And then we set up in the courtyard of the compound that we were in. We set up our mortar tube there.
Yep.
And we had just like quick azimuths that we'd spray paint on the wall, so that you're not even having to like really dial it in. You're just kind of more shooting off the hip.
Gotcha.
And we're basically just, we'd have a observer up on the roof correcting fire, and we're just dropping rounds. And I mean, they were hitting probably like within 100 meters of us in the tree line coming up on this building that we're in. It was pretty crazy.
Dude, something I noticed about Afghan, man, I've been in multiple situations, and I felt like I was being hunted. And I don't know what it was. I'd just been through the area multiple times, and I'd go through it again, and it's just completely silent. No one was around.
Yeah.
Just eerie feelings. Just the boys can fight over there. Like, not taking anything away from them, man. I mean, they've been doing it for years, and they're well versed in their ROE, and they adapted well to ours. We would always have to change the way that we would go about diffusing their IEDs, approaching them. Just you could tell they've been doing it for a while, and if you didn't stay on your toes over there, you could really get schwacked.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, they're a warrior culture. There's no doubt about it.
See, I hear a lot of guys like knock on them, dude, and it's just like I give props where it's deserved, no matter what, dude. Over there, they were fighting us back, man, and I gotta say, I think the IED defeat that I got, or the IED training, and this is no knock on training at all. I mean, it could be me not putting myself completely into the process, but I was not schooled up to the degree of what I was seeing over there. Like it was just wild how well versed they were, and you could tell that they were used to having nothing and making the most out of it. Like almost what we pride ourselves on, improvisation.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like they've been doing it a lot longer, and you could tell they had just someone good with a wrench that was just making wacky things in a garage, and like, oh, this could work. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah. Yeah. What years were you over in Afghanistan?
So 10 and 11, and I was over in Helmand. Did you get over to D2 at all? The area around there, Delaram.
No.
Lashkar Gah.
Yeah. Yep.
Route 1, 606. We were mounted
Okay.
most of the time, Matt V's MRAPs, and we were tasked with kind of schooling up the ANA and the AHP and the AO that we were in, and dealing with them, bro. I don't know if that was kind of like a setup mission to kind of just fail, but these guys were all Taliban, dude. They're all Taliban, and to just be, keep in mind, we're not staying on a fob, dude. We're living with them outside the wire, and they're passing all our critical information to whoever their cousin is. It was just, I was constantly seeing workups just go south, and we couldn't really understand why at first, but then it really started once again coming full circle, who was in, just where we were at all times, and it kind of became clear that someone was, just feeding information to them. And I don't know, it was just a very unsettling feeling, dude, just living with the enemy.
Yeah. Did you guys have any like green on blue incidents?
Of course, yeah, we had a few, dude.
Yeah,
that was very rampant in my area, and honestly, I mean, that's a learning process, because I don't know how much did you see of that in Iraq, because I didn't get over there. So I mean, were you working with
yeah, so my second deployment, when we got to Husayba, the border, we were right on the Syrian border. That border checkpoint was open, and so we were working with the Iraqi border police, and honestly, I felt safe with them.
Yeah.
And it was fine. At that point, and in the whole like scheme of things, it was still 2004. So it was very early on. There wasn't.
Was it Taliban that you were actually fighting over there? Do you even know?
No. In Iraq, it was remnants of AQI.
Gotcha.
So Al Qaeda in Iraq, and ultimately, where we were on the route into Fallujah, we were the border crossing. So all the foreign fighters coming through Syria to go to Fallujah for Phantom Fury came right through us. And so it was gnarly there. I mean, we averaged 63 engagements a month. And yeah, it was just fight every day.
This is all dismounted patrols, or are you rolling like
everything? I mean, we were the security element for a force recon platoon.
Okay.
And we would go out on raids, like probably
I love hearing that word. That word to me is just
3-4 nights a week. We were rolling out in AVs, Humvees. It didn't matter. Like it was. These were the days, like the true days of the like GWAT trap lord.
It's never gonna be like that again, dude. Like you
ever. Honestly, MARSOC wasn't even that cool.
Really?
Oh yeah, nothing will ever beat that.
Really?
Yeah. Damn. I mean, we were rolling with force recon, like
straight up kicking indoors, stormtrooper that shit. Oh god damn! Isn't it weird when you get out for a little bit and the tempo wears down and you're like, god damn, what the fuck was I doing? Like, what were we doing? Like, holy shit! Like, you start seeing the documentaries and you're like, I was actually hunting human beings over there. Like, when you really start thinking about it, it's like, whoa, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and like we would go out on patrols in the middle of the night, just like sneaking around in the dark, just hunting. It was crazy.
How did the Iraqis treat their women and children?
For the most part, pretty good. I honestly really haven't talked about this until now. But like we would go out on these missions where we would literally patrol out and break into someone's house and scoop them all up, hold them hostage.
Where are they?
I mean, it's crazy saying it, but like
just what we were
doing.
That
was what we had to do. And it was like a waiting game until you took contact, and most of the time it was literally an RPG slamming through the window.
So what is it? Really just squeeze that area and roll up someone important and be like, all right, come get them.
No, I mean it was some of that. So we would go out on these raids. They were like direct action looking for someone. We would go out on like just we would go drive around in AAVs until we took contact, and then just assault, you know. And so we'd go out on those types of patrols. We go out on these, we go out on these like counter ambush where we knew a certain part of the city they were setting up mortar tubes and launching them into the base like basically every day around like chow hours, you know. And so we would go try and set up counter ambushes on the poo sites, and you know it was and so those were gnarly because we go out as a platoon and you'd have mutually supporting squads in these buildings, and it was like, dude, we would get compromised all the time because as soon as you wrap up a family and those kids don't go outside and play with the other kids in the neighborhood, everyone knows. And then so, you know, next thing you know, you got, you know, the fighters coming out, and they would roll up in like black pajamas, you know, like the tracksuit with the ball.
Listen, dude, I'm not gonna bullshit right now. I got into a pretty, like, I've been in firefights, but I got in one specifically where I was probably 15 feet from these guys, dude. And I watched this dude in the back seat of the, you know, the typical white srirachas that they roll around. Yeah. This dude, legit, I could see him making like his peace with whatever his god was, accepting death. Threw on his little white pajama head wrap and pick up a PKM in the back of this fucking thing and come out. Keep in mind, I'm on top of a Matt V with a 50. I'm like, dude, don't do it. Don't do it. Comes out the window with a PKM, dude. I'm like, just rode him up with. I've just never been that close to an individual that I could visibly see pulling the trigger at me.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So now we got our war sleeves off. To me, honestly, coming back home was one of the hardest things that I had to deal with. I was kind of the typical tough guy that, you know, I can deal with whatever, bro. Like mental illness isn't real. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna bury everything and I'll deal with it with booze or deal with it with whatever the VA gives me, and I'll be fine. And I never really took PTSD seriously or TBI seriously. I always thought that my body would be solid and I'd be able to just, you know, tough it out. And when that hit me, dude, I was just not prepared for it. Not prepared for it at all. And I don't know if this is similar to you because you briefly told me your story, but I put a lot of my faith in the VA. That was what I was told was what I was to fall back on, honestly. And you know, knowing what I know today, I've done my research, and what I found out about the VA, unfortunately, is it's like a breeding ground for early doctors, for guys that just get into the practice and they go to the VA, they get their experience, and then they go somewhere else. So really, we're dealing with people that I don't know. Listen, this is just me talking. I'm not saying this is Michael's views, but I felt on multiple occasions like a guinea pig. I felt like I was just thrown medicine at. They really weren't listening about what I was telling. I don't know if they weren't listening or if they weren't understanding what I was saying, because the people in the positions that they were in never had been to combat or never were in the military. So they're just going off what they read out of a medical journal or a medical book. So I'll get off my soapbox, dude. We're doing this for a reason. Let's go over what happened to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, separating from the service was my wake-up call to having to deal with things. And it was only brief, honestly, because I was out for maybe a few months before I ended up going into contracting, and just the places that I was, JSOC treats its contractors like unit members.
Gotcha.
And so it was like I never left. And
very similar.
Yeah. But it was a little different in that I did have, access to the VA, and just like you mentioned, that's what you're told when you get out, I was already like enrolled in the Wounded Warrior Regiment, and MARSOC, because they're part of SOCOM, they have a separate one. I think it's called the Soft Care Coalition.
The high speed guys.
Yeah. It's actually really awesome. It's awesome. Pretty incredible. They do some amazing stuff.
So they're actually people in the positions that should be, and they're understanding what you guys we're talking. That's awesome to hear.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of at MARSOC, one of the main coordinators is actually the former sergeant major of one of the battalions.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome to hear.
It's perfect.
They're taking it seriously. Great.
Oh, they do absolutely. But because I was enrolled in those programs, it just made the transition to the VA even easier, and it was kind of like what I was told to do.
Yep.
To stay in the system, get tracked.
I think civilians need to understand what you just said. We're not really, I mean, I know being told something is kind of cliche, but as Marines, that's what we do. We're in an element where we have a hierarchy, and guys that have been in similar situations than us, they advise us what is the best option for us to do. And we blindly follow our leadership. And I'm sure that's similar to what you did.
Oh, absolutely. And to be fair, there are parts of the VA that are good.
Oh,
and
are good. Don't think
people.
I'm completely knocking on the VA, dude, because I've been in great hands with them at certain points.
Yeah, exactly. But it is what
There's
you
always
said
a but.
too. Yeah, and it is it is a good way for young doctors to get experience.
Yes.
I think that there's room for the VA to do a better job of mentorship, like in growth and how they organize all that. But I do think it's a good opportunity. But with that, and unfortunately the lack of resources that the VA gets, because I mean the biggest issue is that they don't have enough doctors, clinicians, and therapists, or whatever the case is. They don't have enough of those resources to take care of all of the veterans.
Well, honestly, bro, keep in mind, OEF, OIF just happened, dude. Like, I mean, they're not completely understanding everything yet, dude. Like they're still in like a trial process, dude. Like this.
Oh yeah,
this is still somewhat new. You know what I mean? Like we can't.
Very new, and on top of that, you also got to remember the world itself is way different than it has been in previous wars.
Crazy to think that, dude. Fuck, we're old. Yeah, you're right.
Dude. Yeah, no, but think about it. Your access to technology changes everything. Right. Social media, for all the good that it can be, is honestly probably really bad for someone having mental health issues.
Unpack that a little bit.
So when you go on Instagram, you go there to get jealous, right?
Very true. It's very true.
And you go on Facebook to get in arguments, right? So like, you put someone that's hurting in a position where those algorithms take over and consume them, they can get down some deep, dark rabbit holes really quick.
You're right.
And, and so, aside from that though, like going back to the VA, they're just overwhelmed, and they just don't have the resources. And so the answer is, okay, I'm going to get 20 minutes with this person. I got to give them something to
calm them
feel
down
like
or-
they're
yeah,
give them something to feel like they've been taken care of.
Yeah.
We can quantify it.
Yeah, you're
That
right.
we can say we prescribed, we medicated, we did this.
Bro, honestly, if you have common sense, I'm not even saying common sense. I don't know what else to describe this, but if you're cognizant, it's a scary situation to be in, dude. Because we don't
Yeah.
fully understand this is. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
No.
and to see that they also don't, because you go there for some kind of rub on the back. Be like, this is what's going on with you. This is how we can deal with it. These are your options. But you don't really get that, 50% of the time. You get like you know what I mean? Like it. I don't know.
For sure.
It's a creepy situation.
It is. It's a disservice.
Yeah.
To veterans and honestly just Americans, like, because veterans are part of our society. Veterans should be our generation's greatest part of the generation. If you look post World War II, veterans are the ones that came back and rebuilt America into the machine that it is today.
1000%.
And we have that opportunity today if we treat our veterans right. If we enable them and empower them and repurpose them, our veterans could fix America in, I guarantee you, 1 year.
So I'm so happy you just said that. So everyone that I get on this podcast, dude, tiptoes around politics. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to talk about the shit, you know what I mean? But we live in I don't know what's going on right now, dude. I don't know how to say an adjective to describe what we're dealing with right now, but the wrong people are in power.
Yeah.
And I feel like guys similar to us are the ones sitting back just shaking their heads. Like, I don't want to get involved with this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking voting. What's that gonna do? Like, but if we kind of, as you just said, repurposed it and went at it in a different way, dude, if we get more alphas need to be the ones making the decisions for what is going on in today's world, man, because what we're seeing isn't working. And I don't want to point a finger at anyone specifically, but it's just not. It is not working.
No,
And
it isn't.
I'm gonna save that. I want to focus on you completely right now. So we talked about the VA. Now, backtrack. You're out of the military for a year. You're in a contracting capacity. At what point and if you want to talk about the incident, I'd love you to explain it just so people can understand what you're going through. If you don't, I understand that completely as well, but balls in your court, bro.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it was 2016, 2017, and I'm deploying in support of JSOC as a targeting officer for the Defeat ISIS campaign.
Okay.
And so I'm in Iraq, working like 18-hour days in the jock, just like reading intel reports, tracking individuals on ISR, watching multiple lines of ISR, and doing signals intelligence, looking at geospatial imaging, just like everything. Like just pouring myself into this for like 18-20 hours a day. And and some of it like ebbs and flows. There's like a day where it's a down day, or weather.
Dude, I'm sure that's very real to you because you've been boots on ground. You take that shit seriously. I mean, let's be real.
Oh yeah.
18-hour days, so you're not really sleeping like you should. Okay.
Yep. So by this point, I'm like getting just burned out. Starting to have issues, just my PTSD and TBI is like just really flaring up. I'm getting migraines, like light blindness, having trouble focusing. I'm staring at a computer all day, so like it's it's just not ideal conditions. And so I go to the VA, and well, one of my colleagues is also, a veteran. He tells me that, we're just chit chatting one day, and I'm, telling him about what's going on. And he's like, yeah, dude, I was like that too. And, I went to the VA and they gave me this medication. So, check it out. And I was like, yeah, all right, makes sense. So, I do my thing. I get on the VA Health, like secure messaging, reach out to the doctor, tell them what's going on, and tell them that I heard about this medication, and ask if it's, a fit, and if it'll work. And they're like, yeah, let's get you set up. So they put me on it for 30 days, like the initial prescription, because it's the medication was called Nuvigil, and it's, I guess, kind of like a controlled substance. So the way that they have to issue it out, you only get it so much at a time. And so I get that initial 30 days, and it's like really helping. It's helping to regulate my ups and downs. So
you're keeping
it's
a
more of
a
now. It's more of a stimulant. So I take it in the morning, and when I go into the shifts, and it just keeps me up and focused on task. And then I get off shift, and I'm able to easily fall asleep. And so I'm like, all right,
everything you'd want out of that.
Good.
Yeah.
And so then I'm about a week out from my deployment, and I'm getting ready to go back to Iraq. And so I, hit up the VA again. Hey, I'm going to be out for 4 months. Can I get a 120-day supply? And they said, well, in order to do that, we need you to go through this sleep study. And I'm like, oh,
Been there.
I would love to do that, but I can't. I have, 4 days before I'm deploying. I got to get all these other appointments done. I can't come spend 2 days in the hospital. Is there something we can work out for this? And so I get on the call with the doctor, and her suggestion is, because I have primary healthcare, like civilian healthcare as well, through my contracting employment, that she'll transfer the prescription to them, because they can allocate the 120
they have
day
different
supply.
Guidelines.
And so we do that, and so the VA takes on ownership of the prescription, but it's transferred out, and they're just tracking it. So this just continues for about 4.5 years. No one ever tells me, like,
no checks and balances.
You're not supposed to be on this for over a year.
And how the fuck are you gonna know that?
Right. Like, I check in with the doctors.
Exactly.
It's working. So, and there's no side effects, so I just continue taking it. And so then fast forward, COVID happens. Everyone goes home, and we're all trying to work from home and figure out what's what. And I get the bright idea to quit my job and start my own company amidst all this, and
let's add more stress.
And it, at first things are going great. And
what's your company?
EBS. So it's a defense contracting company. It stands for Executive Business Solutions.
I like it.
Yep. And so I start that, and basically we secure 1 year of funding for all the costs, runway for 1 year, pays my salary. We've got some employees, and we start getting work. We're getting contracts, and things are starting to work out. And then we get about 11 months in, and by this point stuff's kind of drying up. It's still the height of COVID, so business isn't great.
Of course.
It's just hard to get work. And the
you got a payroll, you got okay.
So we're kind of in panic mode. I got I'm the CEO, so I've got all this stress on my shoulders. I got, employees and their families to worry about. My family.
And you're the type of person that takes that to heart. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And so to me, I'm like, all right, well, we gotta get extra work. We gotta get more done. And the only way to do that is just put in more hours.
Fucking
so I stopped.
Grind.
Yeah, just stop sleeping. Yep. And I was running on probably 2 or 3 hours a night for about 2 weeks. And, my wife was obviously keeping tabs, and she's like,
that's hey, honestly at the time, I'm sure that she's the only one that knows that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And she's telling me like, you need to slow down. And it's like,
we're always like, yeah, got it.
It's just a sprint, I just got to get through this like 2 weeks, and we had this contract opportunity come up with MARSOC. And so I was going to drive down to Camp Lejeune for this meeting. And the meeting was on the morning of February 15th at 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was like I could have gone down the night before and stayed there, but it was Valentine's Day, and I hadn't seen my wife for like weeks.
I got you. Okay.
And it's just like, all right, I took the day off. Like I hadn't taken a day off in like months. And so I took the day off and I spent it with her. And I was like trying to do the right thing. I wanted to do the right thing by her. But then, spending that time with her, I got behind on a report that I had to get this report out the next morning. But then it's like, oh, I got to get up, to get down there by 4 or 10:30. So, 6 hours, 4:30 at least, you got to leave. So I finally go to sleep about midnight.
Are you the type of person that stresses out about being able to wake up if you go to bed late and then you can't sleep? And that's me.
No, actually, I'm not. Fortunately, thank goodness. Dude. Yeah, that would crush me if I was. But I only got an hour because I had to get up to finish this report, and I finally get it done. I get it sent out, and then I get on the road, and so I got 1 hour of sleep. I'm just chugging coffee and energy drinks. And at some point on the way down to Jacksonville, I just had a complete break. And I don't really remember exactly when it happened, when I like lost touch with being present. I do remember kind of getting into the Jacksonville area and feeling weird, just feeling like nostalgic though. Like this, like almost like, oh, I was, I'm back in my old stomping grounds. It felt really vivid though, the idea of that nostalgia. And so I was kind of like, a little weirded out. So I rolled the windows down, and there's like, I don't know, some arty range going on. So all the smells, start coming back. And and like it's like what is that main road that goes, I think it's 17 that goes past Stone Bay.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So I'm driving out there, and that's like the last thing I remember. And so ultimately I ended up getting to a friend's house where I was going to drop my car off and then ride on base with him because I didn't have stickers to get on the compound anymore.
Don't feel like doing
and so I get there, and he immediately realizes that something's not right. And so he calls one of my other good friends from base. He comes over, he also sees me. And they both determined that like there's no way I can go to this meeting. I don't remember any of this, but it's just like their testimony. And so they basically convinced me to just stay at Steve's house. And at some point I kind of freaked out and left Steve's house. You know, we got ring camera footage of me leaving, and I'm just babbling incoherently about nonsense I don't even know. Yeah, and
that's gonna be so creepy to talk. I bet you're getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, just to not know.
It's crazy because it's like I'm repeating a story
what someone else has told you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I filled in through watching.
What, did you not believe it at first? I bet you were. Yeah. Of course.
Oh,
right?
Dude, I kind of like came to realization of what was happening in jail. Not the ideal scenario. They gotta have been through SEER, you know, like. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not laughing at you.
No,
I can just understand what you're going
it's
through.
funny. It's kind of funny. Looking back on it.
Okay.
No, of course. Yeah, you know, so I
that was your sober moment in. Okay. All right. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're confused as fuck. This is obviously an ice. I mean, you've definitely not. You've never been through something like this before, so who knows what the fuck you're thinking, dude. When you're in a situation like that you've never been in before, you start to question everything. Like, wait a minute, what? And okay, all right. I've been in something similar to this, and I can completely understand what you're talking about. So keep going. Okay.
Yep. So, you know, kind of fast forwarding past the event, which, you know, ultimately all of that is gonna end up playing out in court, it appears. You know, what happened during the event was, I mean, I ended up pulling over on the side of the road right outside of Jacksonville, one of the I guess, you know, roads on. I was apparently trying to get out of town, probably trying to get home, and had pulled over and got out of my vehicle, and this is all captured on CCTV footage. But
of course,
otherwise no one would ever have known exactly what happened.
I mean, at least, yeah, that's true. It's just
the only way
for that to happen.
Yeah. So, you know, I ended up getting out of my car and then going back to my car and grabbing my pistol, and I discharged it. Of
course, because you need that.
Well, you know, what is a Marine without his rifle, right? Yes. Like,
okay.
You know,
I knew you were going to go there.
I imagine that in the recesses of my, you know, mind, my subconscious was probably thinking just, you know, the most simple basic things is security and safety, right? Like, and some things
before you keep going, that was something that hit me when I got out. The area I was in was very strict on weapons, and I didn't have an LTC at the time, but really articulate what it means to have a weapon at you at all times, because in the areas that we've been in, if you don't have a weapon, you're dead, period. And it's a very difficult thing to get out of. Honestly, I don't want to get out of that. The world we live in today, I'm sorry, I'm always going to have a weapon on me at all times. But sorry, I understand the mindset you're in. Okay, we discharge around. What happens next?
So I ended up shooting at two vehicles that were passing by. One of the rounds hit the tire of one car, and then the other one hit the bumper of another. And I imagine that those individuals must have reported it to the police. And after that had occurred, I apparently got back into my car and drove further, except that I had put around through my own car into the dash, and it hit the computer and everything started short circuiting.
Gotcha.
Basically, because
I've shot my gunner's plates plenty of times, bro. Don't worry.
It ended up getting totaled, but you know, we found out after the fact what all had happened to it, but ultimately it just died somewhere
What,
off the side
a
of the
local
road.
business caught you on CCTV? Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. And then ultimately our vehicle rolled to a stop at a different location. And one of my friends was able to get me to share my GPS location with them. And so then they sent someone to me, and it was one of my raider buddies that had seen me earlier in the day. So he already knew exactly what kind of a situation I was in. And, you know, he gets there, and from what he found, there was one bullet casing which had landed on the running board of the car as I was, I guess, walking back to it. And so in his estimation of the situation, I had shot my car.
Yeah.
And you know, in theory there, the only harm was done to my own vehicle, which is not
let's
not
get
a
him off the
crime.
road, get him inside.
Yeah, let's get him. You know, at this point,
Yeah.
they're talking to, you know, my wife who's coming down from Virginia, and you know, the mission is get me to safety, so that they can get me back up to Virginia to a hospital.
Of course.
And so they bring me back to Steve's house, and I guess I end up staying the night there. Ultimately, my wife gets down, you know, from Virginia, and we go back to the vehicle the next morning, and get it towed to a shop, to try and get it fixed. You know, we didn't know what was wrong with it. And then we start driving back to Virginia to get to a VA hospital. And
because how would you know any differently? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so at this point, one of the Onslow County sheriff's detectives actually, well, no, they call me. And basically, you know, I don't really remember the conversation, but I have the transcripts from it that they gave me. And
damn, you're so this is day 2 and you're still like fucking off the reservation.
Yeah, still like it's like I can remember little bits and pieces of things.
Okay, keep going.
But ultimately what ends up happening is the detective tells me that there's no charges, I don't need a lawyer, and they just need to see me so they can close the case.
They were doing some sketchy shit then. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I have the evidence of this. They tell me I can come back down there the following Monday to meet with them. And then as soon as they hang up, they put out a warrant for a felon fugitive from justice.
Wow.
Back to my hometown in Virginia. So then I get home and my local sheriff comes and does a raid. And like, well, they get to the house and they're about to, and they call. And they're like, hey, they do a call out, like what we did in Afghanistan on the Taliban.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they had dogs, breachers, armored vehicle, everything.
Were you? Wait, they knew at the time. Yeah, I get it. I get it. So you're home with your wife, though.
Yeah, and kids. Yeah, and you know, so I go outside willingly at this point. At this point, I am like more lucid and kind of with it. And, but I don't know what's happened.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. But, you know, I go outside, I get arrested, driven to the jail.
In North Carolina?
And no, in Virginia.
Okay.
And I'm told that I am being held there because I'm a felon fugitive from justice, and that I'm going to be extradited to North Carolina.
Wow.
And they don't know what the charges are. They're just told that they have to hold me until North Carolina gets me, which takes 2.5 weeks for them to send a driver up to move me down to North Carolina.
You're sitting there for 2.5 weeks?
in Gen Pop. It was crazy, and I don't know why. I don't know why I'm in there.
Okay. Okay. Fuck. So
And
your wife's freaking out.
Oh yeah, she's a trooper, man.
I can tell.
She gets
Absolutely. Yeah.
She gets
Savage.
a lawyer. She's just making things happen.
Keep her around you, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, and so I end up ultimately getting down to North Carolina. I get released within an hour, put on bond, I post bond. And I've been fighting these charges ever since.
My question is, why are they coming at you like this, though? You're not. There's no pattern here. I mean, this is an ice. This clearly is happening to not just you. Fuck. So you guys are just.
I have close friends that have had very similar experiences on New Vigil. They just didn't have a firearm.
Okay. All right. So okay. When is your first court date?
I go on trial on September 11th.
Okay, that's what you were talking about in the article you sent me. Okay, all right. Oh wow, this is really coming full circle. That's creepy. I have my head's going in every direction right now. So obviously, I'm thinking, is the VA not taking accountability for this at all because they put it out to your primary care?
Oh. No, they actually are.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
they're working with you at least.
Oh yeah, no, okay. I mean, it's the first thing I did when I got out of jail in North Carolina was met with my lawyer, but then went back to Virginia to a VA hospital.
Of course.
And and I've been under their care since. I see a psychologist and a psychiatrist, as well as a clinical worker that she's just pretty well-rounded and everything. And honestly, it's out of the Hope Center at Martinsburg, their clinic, and that is one of the best places that I've found within the VA.
Good.
They're doing some pretty awesome stuff there, and really pushing the envelope with therapies and different types of treatments. But
really escalated quickly.
Oh, it did. And the really hard part about it that I'm struggling with to understand is, to me, it feels like it's all politics.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
And it's a shame because the district attorney in charge of this is a veteran and ran on veterans issues, but is missing an opportunity here because Onslow County has a veterans treatment court stood up, which not every circuit court or district court has one of these throughout the country. So this is one pretty incredible that they do have that. That's great, but they're not using it, and it's an opportunity to actually be that model.
Do what they're trying to say that they're there for. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. And we have an opportunity here for exposing the larger issues that are going to face our generation of veterans for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not going to get better.
Dude, this isn't just you. Don't let this get into your head this is you, dude. This is rampant. They don't understand what we're going through. They're throwing everything at it. I'm sure this medication, dude, fuck. I can't believe you're going through this right now. There's got to be so what? All right, so proactively, what where are you at? I mean, you said you talked to the VA.
Yep.
You've obviously gotten statements from all your buddies that have taken this drug or have been in similar situations, character statements. Okay.
Yep. I've actually sought out treatment external to the VA as well.
Good.
I've got, just some great resources, having been a special operations veteran.
Yep.
There's a lot of great nonprofits out there that essentially paved the way for me to be able to get the treatment that I did, which I was able to target not just the PTSD but also the TBI, which
I think might be the bigger thing here, dude. Honestly.
It is. It is. You know what? I thought that when I got the stellate ganglion block for the PTSD, I thought that was a game changer. And I was like, wait, I've been living like this for this long. It was
what did you get out of it?
Oh, dude, it's so the ganglion nerve cluster is where the nerve signals for fight or flight response process through.
Really?
Yeah. And so the stellate compound dampens those signals. Huh. So you essentially get an extra like second or two for decision making.
And
it's like
no.
the old version of like, the kid spills the bowl of cereal and the milk goes everywhere and you're just like, rage. Now it's like, all right, let's get that cleaned up, and
isn't it crazy though that you were taught though, fucking react, go, kill. And now what the
doesn't
fuck?
serve you. It doesn't serve you anymore.
Like, that needs to be talked about more, man, because they cannot just put that in our heads and release us out into Gen Pop and think that we're going to play nice. I mean, that doesn't work. Now, that's something that I've talked about from the beginning of this podcast, man. They're kind of just picking a lot of us this way and being like, we want to go this way. Listen, we handled that OIF thing for you guys. I mean, take care of us, please. Like, that's all we're asking. And okay, I mean, that needs to be talked
for
about.
Sure. It does. And the thing about it is that there are great treatments out there. They just aren't the primary focus, and they should be, because they're more. I
haven't heard of that, bro. I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, and it's a pretty straightforward procedure. It's pretty simple. I stayed awake for it, and it's just local anesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and it still has like lasting effects, and I had that done in March. But to the original point though, I put so much of my focus into the PTSD because that was the big thing. Yeah, it's the stigma, it's the thing it's what's in the movies, like that's what you think you have,
of course.
And there's also like this underlying thing where originally when I got out and submitted a claim with the VA, they gave me 0% for TBI.
Same here. Same exact.
Yep. And I bet you didn't know, but in 2014 and 2015, the VA was going through a scandal where doctors were told to put 0 for TBI because they could categorize it as PTSD because all the symptoms are similar and PTSD goes away.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like,
I've been knocked out over 4 times in active combat, like knocked straight out. I'm talking, and come on, that does something, man. Look at these football players. Look at these. I mean, come on, like the writing's on the wall with this shit.
So I need to give you contact information for this nonprofit so you can get out to the Resiliency Brain Health Clinic in Texas, because man, they they are incredible there.
Really?
It's like a 2-week inpatient thing.
Is that
And
what I saw something? I saw what's his name? Cody. Cody
yeah,
posted something
yep,
about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
Okay, awesome.
yep.
Yeah.
So he and I
Sweet.
went there together.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Cody was my team chief in
Really?
yeah, in Africa and Afghanistan.
No shit.
And so we got to be able to reconnect
That's
there. I hadn't
awesome.
seen him in like 5 years. So
He's
it
doing
was
his thing,
great.
dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. He's pushing it. He's doing
good for
great.
him. I
Yeah,
didn't know that
but
you had a. Oh, awesome, great, sweet.
yeah,
I'd love
but
that contact.
yeah, they are doing some amazing things there, and you'll be surprised when you go through like how much
You actually get something
TBI
out of it.
affects you. Oh,
Oh,
dude.
really?
Yeah.
It's
I was
kind of
actually
scary.
talking.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, I was
yeah,
talking to
yeah.
another Marine that's going through right now, and he like Cody and I were talking about this while we were there, but day 1 and 2 are really hard to process because you realize how bad you are
So
because you do all this diagnostic testing.
for me,
Yeah, and
it's the memory. It's like I'm talking chunks of shit, dude. Like
oh
you know
yeah,
how you said earlier, it was weird when someone told you something you did and you didn't remember it or you didn't know it. That's what I'm dealing with, and it's scary, dude. And
it
yeah,
is.
I understand. I understand.
You know what's crazy is like it's probably worse than you think
Yeah, I
because
think you're right. I think you're right.
when I
How can you even test
you
that?
don't even know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
once you go through their diagnostic testing though, and then you see how much actually is affected across the board by these things, it's mind-blowing. And it's almost like
It's not easy to do, I'm
it
sure.
it dude, it's an ego check. And but the cool thing is the way that they process the treatment, it's rapid. So by day 3 you're already like climbing mountains.
Oh,
And
there's ways to actually attack this shit.
oh dude, it's incredible. Like
Okay.
simple things,
I'm
simple
over here just
stuff.
like accepting it, dude. You know what I mean?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay.
we don't have to live like this. It gets
Okay,
better. Yeah,
okay.
no, it's and like that's one of the things that I want to do with my story. And
Do it. Fuck yeah.
no matter what happens at the end of this, whether I get to
Don't
a
even
veterans
fucking talk
treatment
like that, dude.
court,
You're gonna
charges
beat this shit.
dropped.
You're gonna beat this
No,
shit.
I'm just saying the outcome, because I have a lot of things in motion right now, and a lot of really prominent and important people fighting for me.
Gotcha.
And so there's still potential that we could get it to veterans treatment court.
Okay.
The charges could be dropped or reduced.
Yep.
And worst case scenario, I go fight it, and I know that there's no way a
Yeah.
jury of
Come
my
on.
peers is gonna
Yeah.
see me
How?
as a felon.
How? That's just okay.
Yeah,
I don't even want to put that
but
in the
no,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah. All right.
But regardless of the outcome, I'm gonna run with this because, like you said, too many of us are out there hurting, and
You know
you
what?
just
I
don't know
have
what you don't
someone that
know.
I'm gonna plug you up with.
Okay.
So I started, dude. I'm not a podcaster, dude. I'm not a someone that talks about my shit. I kind of just got thrown into this. I did a interview on the soft. I don't know if you've heard of it, the soft white underbelly. It's a YouTube platform that has like I think he has like 5 million subscribers or 6 million subscribers, but it's great for putting out a exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to talk about something significant, and it's great for just putting something out. And he's just kind of breaking into the veteran demographic. And I was kind of like the first one to go on his channel. So I'm gonna give him your information, and this would just be a great way for you to talk about exactly what we just talked about on a bigger scale, where people can get
Yeah.
involved with it.
No, that would be
Okay.
awesome.
Okay. Well, Mike, we're coming up on I think an hour and a half. Bro, this thank you so much for coming on. I this is listen, stay in touch with me. This is gonna go your
Yep.
way. I don't even want to put that out there. This is something that we're dealing with. You need to talk about it. You're completely right. Take this as a positive. Take this as something that you can go and attack and help other veterans with, because this isn't just you. This isn't not just you. We're going through this. Fucking A. Thank you. If there's anything you want, plug anything you want, talk about anything you want, give us something, dude. At the end of the day, where's your head at?
Yeah, honestly, right now, if we can get more people involved and aware about the conditions of what's going on in this particular instance with me, it'll unearth all the other things happening. And honestly, since I went public with it, it's incredible the amount of support and just positivity that's out there. But it's also very scary how many people have reached out to me to tell me their stories that they aren't sharing, but it's showing me that, like you said, this is rampant. And, so for anyone listening, if you've got a similar story, start talking about it, start sharing it. And reach out to your own community of fellow veterans, because we all got to start healing each other.
Absolutely. And we don't do that enough, and you're completely right. I think that was kind of something. I mean, even me as kind of an old head, and you definitely as. I mean, come on, you're a little bit before me. You got something down there. You're getting gray. I mean, come on. We were taught, bury that shit. Deal with it on your own. We don't talk about what we went through, but come on. Look what it did to them, dude. More people are dying here than over there, and clearly something's not working. So you're completely right. Let's try to I know that sounds corny as hell, but come together, talk about this shit. Let's put it out there. Let's try to. It's only going to help us. Staff Sergeant Michael Bloch. You heard his story. Where can they find you at, bro?
Come find me on Instagram. I'm Mike_Joe_.
Nice.
And then I've got a link tree, and everything else you could want to know about me is on there.
Okay. Well, you heard it there. Staff Sergeant Michael Bloch. He's got a crazy story. We need to have more people talking about this, putting it out there and supporting you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to, following you, and I know this is going to go your way. Semper Fi, stay up and stay in touch, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.